My name is Emily Harper, and at 37, I walked into our 20th high school reunion feeling out of place. I wore a simple forest green dress, the kind I'd pick when I didn't want to stand out. The valet barely glanced at me. I thanked him quietly, hugged my clutch to my side, and stepped into the grand lobby of Harvest Moon Lodge. The chandelier above me glittered like a crown I'd never earned. Laughter and clinking glasses floated through the double doors. I spotted the name tag the concierge pinned to my chest. Emily Harper, no title, no note of my career. Just a name in plain type. Inside long banquet tables stretched beneath cream linens. Crystal centerpieces refracted the soft lights. A slideshow of old yearbook photos flickered on a screen, cheerleaders debate tournaments, class trips. My sister Rachel Harper flooded half the frames. She'd always been in front of the camera. I found my way to table 16, near the exit, where the forgotten shrimp cocktail sat alone on a shared plate. The front tables sparkled, CEOs, lawyers, doctors, everyone with a story better than mine. I sank into my seat and tried to disappear. Then I heard Michael Adams' voice. He hadn't changed much since graduation. Still confident, still smug. He crossed the room, glass in hand, and leaned in. "Emily," he said, raising an eyebrow. "Still at that nonprofit in Kansas. Thought you'd chase something bigger." I forced a smile. "I'm proud of my work." He laughed. "Sure. Looked you up diplomacy studies, world traveler, then poof, small-town charity." "What happened?" A woman nearby whispered, loud enough for me to hear. "She dropped out of grad school, didn't she?" "Shame." I bristled but stayed silent. Moments later, Rachel swept in on a cloud of praise. She wore a black sheath suit that screamed authority. Her voice carried across the room. "After a decade with the FBI, I'm now Deputy Director of Cyber Intelligence. Thank you to my mentors at Jefferson High for setting me on this path." Polite applause followed. I clapped too, hiding the tension coiling in my chest. Rachel's praise felt like a spotlight on my failures. I sipped water, the glass trembling. I stood and slipped out through a side door, adjusting the sleeve concealing my West Point ring. Outside, the air smelled of pine and night. I leaned against the stone railing eyes on the dark treetops. My phone vibrated inside my purse, secure comms lighting up. I reached for the black case hidden beneath my dress bag. A quick fingerprint scan unlocked a flood of mission alerts, Project Raven breach, multiple red zones, urgent intercepts. My heart steadied. This was my world. Inside, they saw a nobody. Out here, I was exactly who they needed. I tapped the screen and whispered into the night, "I'm on it." I'm on the tarmac at Andrews Air Force Base before dawn, the sky still bruised with night. My gloved hand hovers over the case's latch. Inside, Merlin's breach data loops on the secure display, red zones blinking like warning flares. A black sedan idles under the hangar lights, Colonel Ellison standing by with a curt nod. I step off the stairs, my dress uniform swapped for a tailored suit, my silver star pin tucked into the lapel. The cold air feels electric against my skin. Every step across the concrete feels like walking a tightrope between two worlds, one where I'm a shadow operator, and one where I'm suddenly thrust into the glaring light of public scrutiny. I glance up at the rotors of my mission helicopter spinning overhead. Behind each blade's sweep is the weight of national security. Beneath each blade's roar, the echo of my sister's voice still lingers in my mind. Some of us fade into the background. That background won't hold me now. Merlin's collapse within 48 hours would mean chaos unchecked. And so I climb into the sedan, a single thought anchoring me. There is no going back, only forward. My first stop is the Joint Cyber Command headquarters, a fortress of steel and glass reflecting the rising sun. Inside, the corridor hums with urgency analysts hunched over terminals, red alerts pulsing in their peripheral vision, the scent of strong coffee and adrenaline thick in the air. General Monroe's office door stands open, his posture rigid as he reviews the latest intercepts. I salute, offer a concise briefing. 4 breach points, 1 rogue actor, likely internal chatter correlating with civilian disinformation tied to my sudden public reveal. He doesn't flinch. Exposure is a weapon, I say. His eyes flicker with acknowledgement. He taps a finger on a printed hashtag Fulcrum in uniform scrawled across a memo. Your sister's podcast blew your cover. Now her words are destabilizing civilian trust and threatening Merlin's containment. I close my eyes briefly, feeling the tight coil of betrayal unwind inside me. The same sister who erased my legacy now weaponizes it. We map out a counter-disinformation strike, secure briefings with key media, a controlled release of verified commendations, and a strategic op-ed authored under pseudonym. Every move risks amplifying the noise, yet staying silent risks letting the breach metastasize. I leave his office with a dossier in hand, and a razor-sharp resolve information must become our shield before it becomes our shackle. Later that afternoon, I find a moment alone in an empty skiff hallway. The polished floor stretches like a runway of possibilities. I tap open a secure message from Melissa Jason, has evidence of Chloe's sabotage emails, forged submissions to alumni. We need to act. My pulse quickens. I agree to meet her in 30 minutes at the secure reading room. As I stride through the swiveling doors, the stark white walls seem to glare at me, judging me for the deception I'm about to unleash. I unlock the encrypted dossier lines of code PDF attachments, time-stamped emails from Chloe's DOJ account, suppressing my Medal of Honor nomination, redirecting alumni remembrances, even a private memo instructing my commanders to suppress public mentions of my West Point achievements. Each file is a cut through the membrane of trust I thought we shared. I feel anger spike fierce and cold, but I temper it with strategic calm. Anger is a luxury I can't afford. Precision is my weapon now. I close the cases one by one, setting evidence into a new folder titled Operation Clarity. As I exit, I whisper to myself, truth isn't what they tell us, it's what I prove. That evening, under the close guard of 2 security officers, I enter a secure press chamber. Reporters accustomed to the Pentagon's choreographed releases lean forward, pens poised. I stand at the podium in full dress blues, every ribbon and star shining under the harsh lights. Behind me, the Defense Secretary offers a polite nod. I inhale the collective breath of scrutiny and begin. 2 days ago, I returned from a classified advisory mission overseas, not to seek applause, but to serve. In that time, deliberate misinformation has spread, linking my name to unauthorized leaks and personal ambition. Those claims are false. I stand before you as Lieutenant General Rebecca Cole, pledged to truth, transparency, and service. Attached are documents corroborating my Medal of Honor nomination, my secure mission briefs, and chain of command approvals, all unredacted and verified. A hush falls, flashbulbs pop. For the first moment in years, I feel the burden of silence lift. Yet as the last certificate is displayed on the screen behind me, my phone buzzes another alert. Project Raven's breach has expanded. Internal chatter hints at a second insider. The breach window narrows. The room's quiet fractures into a sharp crack of urgency. I don't wait for questions. I slip from the podium and stride toward the secure elevator, ignoring the swirl of murmurs and shutter clicks. My case is strapped to my hip, Melissa's folder tucked inside. The descent to the cyber operations suite is measured every floor, a countdown to crisis. When the doors open, Colonel Ellison is waiting, his face taut. 1 minute before we go dark, he says. I nod, flick my wrist, and tap the screen to authorize a coordinated takedown of 6 suspect nodes, 2 in NATO partner servers, 1 matching Chloe's IP range traced through anonymized logs. It's a risk purge too quickly, and we lose potential leads. Too slowly, and we lose control. My finger hovers, and then I press. Execute. The console erupts in green text, nodes disabled, threat vector isolated. Relief surges through me, swift and unexpected, replaced by a sharper edge. This is only the beginning. Outside alarms echo, gates slam. The fight's not over, and now I carry the weight of every choice I've made, every scar I've hidden. There is no shadow left to retreat into, only the broad daylight of accountability, and I step forward, ready. I step out of the operations suite, into the corridor's harsh fluorescent light, each tile beneath my boots echoing like a metronome, counting down the seconds before the next crisis. The console behind me still hums with the aftershock of disabled nodes, the green text fading to black as the screen powers down. Colonel Ellison stands at attention, face taut, but eyes softer than I've seen in days. Your decision saved us time, but it exposed a new threat vector, he says quietly. His words land like thunder in my chest. Time won, but risk multiplied. I nod, swallowing the lump in my throat. Outside, the storm has broken. Rain slashes against the windows in a staccato rhythm that mirrors my racing pulse. A flickering hallway light above us drips water, each drop a reminder that even the sturdiest defenses leak. I slip my hand into my pocket, feeling the smooth edge of the silver star I tucked into my uniform. It's both burden and beacon, an emblem of sacrifice I didn't choose, but one I'll never shed. I take a deep breath, steadying myself against the roar of the storm and the roar of my own doubts. The breach window closes in less than 12 hours, and every second now demands utter clarity. As I step back into the suite, the door chime sounds. Melissa's name is on the screen. I open it. Her face, the only civilian who ever saw the real me, casts an urgent shadow. "They're moving assets to secure the breach site," she whispers. But there's chatter that our mole is ready to cover their tracks. My heart spikes. The echo of betrayal claws at my confidence. I realize I've been playing catch-up in a game someone else rigged, and now all I have left is a thin line of truth and a choice: follow fear into the darkness, or light a path with the flicker of my own conviction. Within minutes, I'm in the makeshift briefing room, the table strewn with classified files and empty coffee cups. Reporters' names and media outlets are scrawled on index cards. Anderson Cooper, The Atlantic, Vox News. Each card a potential minefield if mishandled. We've planned a controlled counteroffensive, an op-ed framed under a trusted pseudonym, accompanied by authenticated commendation documents and secure mission logs. My fingers hover above the keyboard, the blank document page blinking in invitation and warning. A stray coffee stain near my elbow smears across a printed draft, a reminder that no operation runs perfectly. It's a flaw I choose to leave, symbolically humanizing the narrative we'll release. The plan is simple, yet perilous. Inoculate the public against lies by feeding them truth. But each keystroke could amplify the noise, drown us in skepticism, or tip off the mole to our strategy. As I type the first lines, I served in silence, not for accolades, but because duty demands it. An alert pops up on my screen. Incoming file, Project Cassandra. My pulse jags. Cassandra in myth spoke truths no one believed. Our Project Cassandra could validate our dossier or drag us deeper into the labyrinth of deception. The file name itself feels like a taunt: speak truth. Be disbelieved and watch everything crumble. My fingers freeze on the keyboard. Do I open it? The cursor blinks a heartbeat in the dark. I close the laptop and stand, shoulders aching beneath the weight of possibility. I need fresh air, a grounding moment. I make my way to the secure balcony, ignoring the rain staining the window as if it were tears from the sky. Below, the command center's lights pulsed like a field of fireflies caught in a jar, each glow a specialist focused on a screen, unaware of the storm gathering beyond the glass. I tuck my hands into my pockets, feeling the rough edge of Melissa's encrypted folder. She insisted we meet here to share what she discovered deep within DOJ archives. My sister's sabotage files had been damning enough: forged emails, blocked nominations, erased honors. But Melissa's face had gone pale when she opened Chloe's last folder, something far worse. I flipped open the folder now. Inside lay a flash drive and a single printed line: hidden transcript, DOJ, internal memo, Operation Requiem. The memo details a classified program monitoring high-ranking officers for loyalty breaches, with me as the prime subject. It's not just sabotage, it's surveillance, an Orwellian twist that brands me enemy before I even move. My breath catches, the sky rumbles, and I press the folder to my chest, heart pounding in tandem with thunder. This isn't just a media war anymore. It's a test of my own integrity and my nation's. I look down at the dark treetops swaying in the wind and wonder who watches the watchers. And what will I do when the spotlight turns inward? Melissa appears beside me, her raincoat dripping. "They expected you to crack," she says softly. But I found their orders buried beneath layers of redaction. They planned to frame you as the leak to discredit Merlin containment. The words settle like ice in my veins, framing me months of covert service erased, replaced by a narrative of betrayal. If this memo leaks, I'll face a tribunal amplified by Rachel's podcast and every skeptical headline. Righteous duty will look like treachery. Rage flares hot and fierce, but I dampen it with calm logic. We need to act fast, I say. First, we undermine Operation Requiem by releasing their own directive publicly unredacted. Then we expose Cassandra's leaks to validate our story. Finally, we neutralize the mole's cover story before it detonates. Melissa nods, but I see her worry lines deepen. Each step risks everything. We're not just fighting an outsider, we're fighting our own system. I draw in a breath of the storm-cold air and relish the bite. I feel alive, I feel furious, and I know what happens next could cost me everything or save it. The rain hammers the windowpane as if urging me forward. There's no turning back. Back in the cyber suite, I slip the flash drive into a secure terminal. Its LED flickers red as encryption keys dance across the screen. Colonel Ellison appears at the doorway, eyebrows raised. Project Requiem classified at the highest level, he says. This could topple careers, destabilize agencies. I meet his gaze. Or it could save Merlin, restore trust, and clear my name. He studies me for a long moment. You know this action defies direct orders from DOJ leadership. I nod. I know, but they've weaponized the system to bury the truth. If we don't expose it, we become complicit. Ellison sighs and steps aside. His unspoken support steadies me like an anchor in the storm. I copy the memo and share it simultaneously with secure media contacts and internal analysts flagged as allies. Within seconds, servers light up downloads, complete encrypted packets dispatched. The room holds its breath. Then, the first news ticker scrolls, unknown DOJ memo surfaces, alleging internal surveillance program targeting generals. The words burn across screens. Control slips from our grasp as the story spreads like wildfire. I have unleashed a storm. I steel myself. This is the cost of truth. The fallout is immediate. Alarms blare as higher command orders lock down. Reporters flood defense channels demanding comment. My phone erupts with messages, some urging caution, others accusing me of mutiny. I watch the chaos unfold through a soundproof window, like witnessing a firestorm I ignited. My gaze drifts to the silver star in my hand, once a symbol of honor, now a lightning rod in a political tempest. I close my eyes and remember Mr. Walters' words. Courage isn't the absence of fear, but acting when the stakes are highest. My fear still thrums, but I feel something stronger purpose. I activate the secure channel to Blanchette, our trusted Pentagon press liaison. Prepare to confirm the authenticity of DOJ memo, I instruct. Frame it as a corrective action, not an act of rebellion. She replies, voice steady. Understood. Rotunda briefing in 10. They'll spin this as an accountability measure. It might work, or it could paint me as the insurgent general. But I have no choice. The storm outside has nothing on the one inside these walls. I press my palm to the window as if to hold back the raging sky. Lightning arcs beyond the glass, splitting the clouds. It feels like a warning and a promise. After the thunder, there must be clarity. 10 minutes later, I stand behind the lectern in the Pentagon's Grand Rotunda, the carved eagles above seeming to watch. A cluster of cameras glares at me. The hum of 100 microphones fills the vaulted space. I adjust my uniform, the silver star flashing in the floodlights. Beneath the surface, my heart still hammers, but my voice remains calm. Yesterday, an internal document surfaced demonstrating an unauthorized surveillance program, Operation Requiem, targeting senior military leaders. These actions violated the principles we uphold. I have directed its immediate termination and ordered a full review of all oversight protocols. I pause, letting the words sink. I apologize for the disruption, but silence in the face of injustice is its own betrayal. The crowd reacts in a mix of gasps and applause. Reporters shout questions, but I turn my gaze upward to those carved eagle symbols of vigilance and freedom. My next words carry through the hush. Our nation demands accountability from those sworn to protect it. Today, we choose integrity over obedience. A surge of energy ripples across the room, some cheer, some frown, but none remain neutral. I step away from the lectern and head for the exit, each footstep echoing like a heartbeat of conviction. Behind me, the rotunda's echo fades, but its lesson lingers. Truth can shatter order, but from the rubble, a stronger foundation can rise. Outside, the rain has stopped. The storm has passed, leaving the air crisp and clear. Yet as I descend the steps, my phone buzzes with an encrypted ping, a new alert from Rachel. You win this round, but the next one's already set. Meet me at dawn. My chest tightens. The battle is far from over. I arrive at the Mason and Brûlé Cafe just before dawn, the streetlights still flickering off and on like hesitant sentinels. The bell above the door chimes softly as I step inside, the rich aroma of freshly roasted beans wrapping around me like a warm cloak against the chill. Rachel sits in our old corner booth, hands around a steaming mug silhouette, etched by the fogged window behind her. She looks smaller without the tailored suit, her shoulders curved inward, as if the weight of everything she's done is finally bending her spine. I pull out the chair opposite her, lean forward, and place both palms flat on the table. The cafe's soft jazz and murmured orders fade into white noise. Why Rachel? I ask, voice low but steady. Her eyes flick to mine, then away, tracing the condensation on her cup. She breathes out a slow exhale that seems to carry years of regret. I thought I was protecting you, she whispers, but I taught everyone to see you as nothing. The words land like stones in my chest, and for a moment the cafe's morning glow dims. Outside, a single raven lands on the sill, its ebony wings beating against the glass, a silent witness to our reckoning. I feel the old ache of betrayal mix with the hardened resolve of a soldier who's learned to fight on broken ground, and I realize this conversation is far from over. Rachel's confession unfolds in tremors. Forged emails, manipulated records. The memo that nearly broke me. It was all her doing, driven by a twisted belief that only one sister should stand in the light. She thought our childhood promise to protect each other gave her the right to bury me in shadows. I close my eyes, tasting bitterness and pity in equal measure. When I reopen them, I sense a storm gathering behind her gaze, remorse laced with defiance. You wanted to control my story, I say softly, but I control my truth. She nods, tears glinting like fractured diamonds. Then help me fix this, Emily. Help me restore what I stole. The cafe's door swings open as a barista calls out an order. The steam from the espresso machine hisses like a serpent ready to strike. Rachel pauses, looking torn between the sister she loved and the ambition that betrayed her. I lean back, the leather of my chair creaking, and weigh her plea against every betrayal etched in my skin. The raven taps its beak against the glass, urging me to decide, and with that sound, I know the next move could either bridge our divide or shatter it forever. A few hours later, I stand in the quiet vestibule of the Joint Cyber Command, the walls humming with latent energy. I've agreed to Rachel's plan publicly, clear my name with evidence of her sabotage, then jointly appeal for mercy before the Inspector General's board. But before I can send the protocol, my phone buzzes with an encrypted ping from Jason. His message is a single line: I've been compromised. Seized. Our secure channels are tapped. Meet at Old Fort Sims, now. My pulse spikes. The corridors here are meant to be inviolable, yet someone has breached our inner sanctum. I slip into a side hallway, the overhead lights flickering as though uncertain of my path. In my pocket, the silver star warms against my palm, a reminder that honor can be both shield and target. I tap back, I'm on my way. As I turn to the exit, the elevator doors hiss open behind me. Colonel Ellison steps out, eyes narrowed. You're making a dangerous move, he says, voice low. I meet his gaze, steady as the North Star, and reply, Trust me, Colonel, this is the only way to root out every mole. He hesitates, then nods, the undercurrent of mutual respect binding us in silent agreement. The doors close, and I'm left alone in the corridor, heart thundering with the risk I'm about to take and the twist of fate that could end it all. Fort Sims lies abandoned on the outskirts of the city. Its rusted gates and overgrown grounds, more ghost town than military post. Jason waits by the cracked guardhouse, face drawn, suit jacket draped over one arm. He leads me inside past scorched bunkers and shattered windows that once framed sunrise drills. In the shadow of the old flagpole, its stars and stripes threadbare, I learn the full extent of the compromise the same surveillance program Rachel unearthed. Operation Requiem was never shuttered. It was absorbed by a private contractor, with ties to shadowy influencers and rogue intelligence brokers. They plan to weaponize civilian outrage using Rachel's podcast and my expose as cover to discredit not just me, but the entire Merlin operation. My stomach clenches. The betrayal runs deeper than family. It's systemic. Yet beneath that fear, I feel something fierce ignite the conviction that truth, no matter how twisted, can still break through corruption. I pull Jason aside and lay out a new plan. We leak the contractor's transfer logs to trusted allies in the press, backing it up with the DOJ memo, and our own secure mission briefings. His eyes widen. If this comes out, it could spark a political firestorm, undermine national security, even lead to indictments at the highest levels. I nod my decision, sealed in the stillness between us. Then we light the fuse ourselves, I say, and watch his resolve steal alongside mine as the first rays of sunlight breach the clouds overhead. Back at the Pentagon, the air tastes of ozone and possibility. Colonel Ellison and I stride through the marble hallways, dossiers in hand. My steps echo, each one a testament to the risk I now embrace. We slip into a secure briefing room where General Monroe and the Secretary of Defense await. Their faces register surprise. No one expected me to return from Fort Sims with dirt on a contractor rather than just on my sister. I place the transfer logs and the comprehensive dossier onto the table. These show a covert handoff of surveillance data from the DOJ to Mercury Solutions. I begin voice clear. They've been feeding disinformation to civilian channels and intercepting secure military communications. This goes beyond sabotage. It's an attack on our democracy. The room ripples with tension. Monroe's jaw tightens. The secretary leans forward, fingers steepled. If these logs check out, he says we're looking at criminal conspiracy, misuse of public office, and potential cybersecurity warfare. The weight of my words hangs like storm clouds before a downpour. I meet their eyes and offer no apology. Only the hard truth that my silence would cost far more than any broadcast ever could. They exchange a long look, then Monroe nods. We move forward. We need a joint task force. Relief and dread surge within me. In equal measure, we've drawn blood in the heart of corruption, but now the hunt is on, and I'm both tracker and prey. As dusk settles over the National Mall, I stand alone on the Lincoln Memorial steps, the reflecting pool rippling in the cool breeze. The monument's marble columns rise like silent judges, watching as I carve a new path. My phone lies forgotten in my hand, its screen dark. Below me, the city's lights begin to flicker on, mirroring the stars overhead. I feel the magnitude of this moment. I've exposed a network of deceit that reached the highest offices, implicated my own sister and my colleagues, and risked everything on a fragile strand of evidence. Yet beneath the triumph lies a fresh tension. Investigators are mobilizing indictments, could drop by morning, and public opinion still sways like a ship on choppy seas. I press my palm to the cool marble, letting history's witness steady my beating heart. In the distance, a single siren wails, a reminder that crisis never sleeps. I close my eyes, remembering Mr. Walters's words that courage is acting when stakes are highest, and steel myself for what comes next. The final confrontation that will determine not just my legacy, but the soul of the institutions we serve. I step into the dawn-lit atrium of the Pentagon the morning after our rotunda briefing. The chatter of urgent updates drifting through the halls like restless ghosts. My polished boots click against the marble floor, each echo reminding me that we've shifted tectonic plates in the world of intelligence. Screens along the corridor announce the arrest of 2 Mercury Solutions executives for conspiracy, yet a third. Its CEO remains at large, slipped through legal loopholes. I feel the weight of my silver star pin against my chest, a constant reminder that honor often comes with hidden costs. As I reach for the secure terminal outside Colonel Ellison's office, my phone buzzes a Department of Justice subpoena demanding I testify before a special oversight committee tomorrow. The thrill of victory sours into tension as I realize our fight isn't over in courtrooms and press releases. It's just moved to a chamber of senators and partisan agendas. I pause under the shadow of a carved eagle, its wings spread as if bracing against a storm, and I draw in a breath that tastes of early rain. The subpoena sits in my hand like a gauntlet thrown, daring me to prove my integrity in a place where truth is measured by political favor. My heart hammers equal parts dread and determination. The day ahead will mark me in history as either a hero or a dissident. And only one thing is certain: the hearing doors will open at 9, and I will be the first to step through. The following morning, the marble steps outside the Senate office building glisten with dew, each drop a messenger from the storm clouds gathering overhead. I move through the throng of lobbyists, aides, and journalists, my uniform coat swapped for a tailored navy suit that feels strangely foreign on my shoulders. As I enter the hearing room, the air is thick with flashbulb smoke and the low murmur of expectations. Senators file past their nameplates gleaming in the harsh lights, each one a potential ally or adversary. I take my seat at the witness table, the star on my lapel catching the overhead beams like a beacon. The committee chair, a fiery senator known for his distrust of unelected power, the very phrase he uses to describe military leaders, bangs his gavel and invites my testimony. I speak clearly. I stand before you not as a rebel, but as a soldier who chose truth over silence. My voice resonates in the wood-paneled chamber, and I feel the texture of conviction under my skin. But just as the hearing seems to settle into a rhythm, an aide steps forward with a tablet, her hands trembling. New evidence has surfaced: encrypted messages between the CEO and an unknown Pentagon insider suggesting the conspiracy ran deeper than we imagined. The committee chair leans forward, eyes narrowed. The room's hush swells into a tension so taut it feels like a wire about to snap. My heart skips a beat. I realize the blade of this fight has more edges than I'd foreseen. Later, I find myself stranded in a private waiting room off the hall, flanked by Colonel Ellison and Melissa, who clutch their files like lifelines. The senators have recessed to examine the new evidence, and we have mere minutes to adapt our strategy. I pinch the bridge of my nose, the fatigue of sleepless nights pulling at my thoughts. Melissa places a hand on my shoulder. "This changes everything, Em," she whispers. I nod, letting her words crash against my steady calm. Just then, Rachel appears in the doorway, her face pale but resolute. She wears a plain sweater instead of her usual polished attire, an unspoken truce in the battle of appearances. She offers me a folder stamped "Rachel Harper, Personal Testimony." I open it to find a new set of emails and a sworn declaration acknowledging her own unwitting complicity in her zeal to protect me. She forwarded files to the contractor, only realizing later she'd fueled their operation. Tears flicker in her eyes. Guilt, relief, hope, all merging. I feel the old wound reopen, the betrayal echoing through my veins, but now tempered by something deeper: compassion. I close the folder and meet her gaze. We face them together, I say softly, the quiet resolve in my voice stronger than any gavel. She nods, and in that silent exchange, I grasp that strength isn't born of solitude, but of shared conviction, and together we will return to that hearing room as allies, not adversaries. We file back into the chamber, where the senators await the air now heavy with the promise of revelation. Rachel takes the stand first, her testimony raw and unguarded, as she lays bare every misstep, every lapse in judgment she allowed to perpetuate Operation Requiem. I watch as she emits her own storm of accountability. The weight of her career and our sisterhood pressed onto each word. When I rise to speak again, I feel a flicker of pride. This woman, once my fiercest rival, now stands for truth at my side. I recount the forged directives, the hidden surveillance, and the contractor's manipulation, weaving in details of covert missions that lacked medals but saved lives. The senator's expressions shift from skepticism to admiration. Some nod curtly, others scribble notes, as if they're recalibrating their worldview. Yet there's an undercurrent of unease. The final twist: the contractor masterminds is revealed. Moments later, an anonymous senator on the committee has financial ties to Mercury Solutions. A conflict of interest buried in disclosures no one had thought to cross-check. A gasp ripples through the room. The chair recoils, face draining of color. The very institution entrusted to judge me now stands accused of corruption. I feel a shiver run down my spine, equal parts vindication and dread. The hearing abruptly adjourns, leaving a tremor of possibility in its wake. Will this upheaval cleanse the system, or swallow us all in the fallout? By late afternoon, I'm back in Colonel Ellison's office. the setting sun casting long shadows across the screens that display real-time news feeds. The headlines declare Senate scandal expose, and General and Sister Illuminate Deep DOJ ties phrases I never imagined pairing in the same breath. Yet beneath the triumph of public vindication lies a new riddle. The anonymous senator must be unmasked, a process tangled in layers of privilege and protocol. Ellison leans back in his chair, exhaustion etched into his features. "We've won a battle," he says, "but the war for accountability is far from over." I nod, pressing my fingertips to the silver star on my desk, its cool weight grounding me. Social media buzzes with debates. Some hail me as a paragon of integrity. Others brand me a traitor for embarrassing the institution. The schism in public belief cuts sharper than any blade. I realize that trust is like a mirror cracked. You can repair it, but the fractures always remain. My next step is to lead the new inquiry into the senator's financial ties, a task fraught with political landmines. I rise from my seat, resolve hardening. Set up a joint task force, I instruct. I'll testify again if needed. The screens behind me flicker with images of old veterans saluting my uniform, symbols of a faith I cannot let falter. As I walk toward the door, the sunset bleeds gold across the horizon, and I wonder, can truth truly heal a system built on compromise? That evening, I stand alone on the Lincoln Memorial steps once more, the city lights gleaming beneath a velvet sky, each star a lantern of possibility. The reflecting pool lies still in front of me, mirroring the monument's stoic columns and my solitary figure. In my hand, I hold a letter from the committee's chair, inviting me to lead the overhaul of oversight protocols, an honor and a burden wrapped in diplomatic language. I fold the letter slowly, feeling the texture of its embossed seal beneath my fingertips. My mind drifts to the ideals that led me here. Service sacrificed the belief that some truths are worth every risk. A lone raven perches atop the marble balustrade, its dark silhouette a reminder of that morning in the cafe, symbol of watchful vigilance. The air is cool and still, as if the world itself has paused to breathe. I tuck the letter into my coat pocket and place my palm on the cold stone, drawing strength from the legacy etched into the monument. Below, the city's hum is distant, a testament to lives carried on beyond my own battles. Yet within that hum, I hear the pulse of democracy, fragile but alive. I whisper to the night, "The real work begins now," and with that vow, I step away from the monument, leaving behind a silent promise to stand guard over truth, no matter how far the shadows stretch. As I reach the curb, my phone buzzes with a secure alert. An encrypted message from an unknown Pentagon analyst, clearance levels swirling around, a phrase I can't quite parse, Phoenix protocol reactivated. My heart tightens. The name harkens back to a mission I once believed closed for good, one that cost lives and left scars deeper than metals could mark. I scan the streetlights overhead, their halos illuminating the wet pavement like scattered stars. A single car slows its headlights dim, then vanishes around the corner, leaving me alone with the buzz of impending storm. I extend a finger to open the message fully, the screen's light painting my face in stark relief. My breath catches as I read the lines of code that follow evidence of a new threat vector targeting classified assets I thought secured. The wind picks up, rustling my coat like a warning banner against the coming night. I clutch my silver star pin beneath my lapel, its steady weight grounding me. The world may be watching this story unfold in headlines, but the true battle's just begun, and it will demand every ounce of resolve I've ever mustered. My chest tightens with both fear and purpose as I tap the secure reply. Noted. I'm on my way. The street around me hums with ordinary life, unaware of the secret war about to ignite, and I realize that once silence is broken, you can never fully return to the shadows. Story 2. You. Hi, I'm Sarah. Today I'm going to read you the story of Audrey, which is titled like this. Parents refused to pay for my college because I was smart enough to handle it myself, but now they want me to pay for my nephew's tuition at the MIT. So I said no. 2 weeks later, the cops came to me. You're being accused of stealing. Well, let's go. I'm sitting in my apartment right now, the one I bought 4 years ago when I was 29. It's a nice place, good layout, great neighborhood, everything that I wanted. I work in it, and I've been doing pretty well for myself, so I managed to save up for this place faster than most people my age. When I had my housewarming party back then, it was just my work colleagues and some friends from college. My parents weren't there. Neither was my older sister. If you're wondering why, well, that's a long story that goes back about 15 years. I'm Audrey, by the way. I'm 33 now, and I guess you could say I've made it on my own terms. But let me tell you how I got here, because it wasn't easy. When I was 14, I was really into programming. I mean, really into it. I spent most of my time coding, participating in national programming competitions, and I was actually winning prizes. I was good at it, and I knew I wanted to make it my career, so I applied to several colleges, including the most prestigious one in my field. The responses came back, and I had options. A couple of colleges offered me full scholarships, which was amazing, but the college I really wanted to attend, the top one, only offered me a partial scholarship covering 70% of the costs. The remaining 30% was still a huge amount of money that I didn't have. I figured my parents would help me out. I mean, that's what parents do, right? They support their kids' education, especially when the kid is doing well and has a real shot at a great future. So I brought it up at a family dinner. It was me, my parents, and my older sister Sarah, who's 7 years older than me. She was there with her 2-year-old son and her husband. They were living in a rented apartment at the time, separate from my parents. I explained the situation to everyone. I told them about the scholarship offers and how I really wanted to go to this particular college. I said I'd need help with the remaining costs. The reaction I got was not what I expected. My mother looked at me and said, "Audrey, you're smart enough to figure this out on your own." My father nodded and added, "Didn't you participate in all those competitions for nothing? If you're really that smart, you should apply for a full scholarship somewhere." I was shocked. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. These were my parents, and they were basically telling me I was on my own. But then I remembered something. A few years earlier, my grandfather had passed away, and he'd left money to my mother specifically for my education. I knew about this because I'd overheard conversations about it. "Wait," I said, "didn't Grandpa leave money for my education? I know he did." My mother's face went cold. We decided to use that money as a down payment for Sarah and her family to buy an apartment. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut, but that was my money. Grandpa left it specifically for my education. My father slammed his hand on the table. "The conversation is over, Audrey." That's when my sister Sarah smiled this smug, satisfied smile that I'll never forget. "You always thought you were the smartest one in the family, Audrey. Now's your chance to prove it by getting to college without any money." And then they all laughed. My parents, my sister, even her husband chuckled. They were laughing at me at my dreams, at my situation. It was like they found it funny that I was struggling. In that moment, everything became clear to me. I'd always known I was second place in this family. Sarah had always been the favorite, the one who got everything she wanted, the one who was supported no matter what. And I was just there. The smart one who was supposed to figure everything out on her own. I'd known this my whole life, but I guess I'd hoped things would be different when it really mattered. But no, nothing was going to change. Not ever. So I made a decision right there at that dinner table. I was going to leave. That night, I called my aunt, my mother's sister, and asked if I could stay with her until I figured out my college situation. She said yes immediately, no questions asked. She'd always been kind to me, and I think she understood what my family was like. The next day, I packed my things and left. I didn't say goodbye to anyone. I just left a note saying I was going to stay with my aunt. My mother's response came that evening in a text message. "Good." That was it. Just good. "Mel will miss you, or take care of yourself, or anything like that." Just acknowledgement that I was gone. I ended up enrolling in a college in a neighboring state that offered me a full scholarship, plus paid dorm housing. It wasn't the prestigious school I dreamed of, but it was good enough, and it was completely free. During college, I worked part-time jobs to have spending money. My dad helped me out sometimes, sending me money when I needed it. She was the only family member who cared about my well-being. My parents, they sent me birthday and holiday messages, but they never invited me to family gatherings. I spent Christmas with my aunt instead. It was better that way. After graduation, I moved back to my hometown to be closer to my aunt. I got a job with a software company that works with major tech companies. I worked remotely, earned good money, and got bonuses for the programs I created and sold. By the time I was 29, I'd saved enough to buy this apartment. It felt like the biggest accomplishment of my life. Not just because I owned property, but because I'd done it completely on my own, without any help from the people who were supposed to support me. And that brings us back to now. I'm 33. I'm successful. I'm independent. And I haven't spoken to my family in years, except for those brief holiday messages. At least that was the case until yesterday, when I got a phone call that changed everything. I was working at my computer when my phone rang. Unknown number. I usually don't pick up unknown calls, but this one kept ringing back after the third time. I figured it might be important. "Hello, Audrey. This is your mother." I almost dropped the phone. I hadn't heard her voice in years, except for those brief holiday calls. "How did you get this number? I got it from your aunt. I need to talk to you about something important. Can you come to the house? I really didn't want to see them, but I was curious. After 15 years of basically ignoring me, what could be so important that they'd reach out? Fine, when this Saturday would be good." After I hung up, I called my aunt immediately. "Did you give my mother my phone number?" "Yes, honey. She came to see me and asked for it. She seemed upset about something. I thought maybe it was time for you all to talk." Saturday came, and I drove to my parents' house. It looked the same as always. When I walked in, I saw my parents and a young man I barely recognized. It took me a moment to realize it was my nephew Sarah's son. He was 18 now, tall and thin with dark hair like his mother. "Where's Sarah?" I asked. My mother's face went dark. "That's part of why we called you here." I walked around the house, looked at my old room on the second floor. Everything was different now. Sarah. Stuff was everywhere. She'd clearly been living here. "So what's going on?" I asked when I came back downstairs. My father cleared his throat. Sarah divorced her husband 3 years ago. They sold their apartment and split the money. Sarah and her son moved back in with us. My mother jumped in. "We were going to use the money from the apartment sale to pay for his college. He wants to go to MIT for programming, just like you did with computers." I looked at my nephew. He was staring at me with this expression. I can read. Not friendly, but not hostile either. Just evaluating. "But a month ago," my father continued, "Sarah met some man on the internet. She ran off with him and took all the money from the account. She left her son here with us." I wasn't surprised. Sarah had always been impulsive and selfish. So what does this have to do with me? "You're his aunt. My mother said he needs help paying for college. MIT is expensive, and now he doesn't have the money. You have money," my father added. "You're successful. You can afford to help him." I looked at my nephew again. I tried to feel something, some family connection, some urge to help, but I felt nothing. I hadn't seen him in 15 years. To me, he was just a stranger who happened to share some DNA. "No," I said simply. "I'm not paying for his college. That's his parents' responsibility. Sarah's and her ex-husband's, not mine." My mother's face turned red. "How can you be so heartless? He's family." That's when I remembered their exact words from that dinner 15 years ago. I smiled coldly. "If he's so smart, he should figure it out on his own. Isn't that what you told me?" My father stood up. "That's different. You were always the smart one. You could handle it. And he can't." "He's applying to MIT, right? Sounds pretty smart to me." I turned to my nephew. "Look, you can get a full scholarship somewhere else. Maybe not as prestigious as MIT. But I built my career without going to a fancy school." You can tell the kid looked at me with pure contempt. He didn't say anything, just gave me this look like I was dirt on his shell. "I'm done here," I said, heading for the door. "Audrey, wait." My mother called after me, but I was already leaving. I could hear them yelling behind me, but I didn't care. I got in my car and drove home. The calls and messages started that evening. My parents calling me irresponsible, heartless, selfish. They said I needed to act like a responsible adult and help family in need. I laughed when I read that a responsible adult. Where were the responsible adults when I needed help? At 18, Where were they when I was working part-time jobs to buy textbooks? I blocked their numbers and went on with my life. I went to work. I visited my aunt. I enjoyed my quiet, drama-free existence. My aunt and I talked about what happened. "I think you did the right thing," she said. "They never helped you when you needed it. I just don't understand why they think I owe them anything. They made it clear 15 years ago that I was on my own. Some people only remember what's convenient for them." My aunt said 2 weeks later, I was working at home when someone knocked on my door. I looked through the people and saw 2 police officers. My heart started racing. I opened the door. "Are you Audrey Clark?" "Yes." "We need to ask you some questions about a theft. Your parents filed a report saying that $5,000 was stolen from their home. They kept it in a box on the 2nd floor. The theft occurred after your recent visit. I felt like the world was spinning. I didn't take any money. I don't need their money. I earn plenty on my own. We received an anonymous tip that you took the money and that it's hidden in your car. That's impossible. You can search my car if you want. I have nothing to hide." We went down to the parking garage. I opened my car doors and popped the trunk. The officers searched carefully, and then one of them reached under my back seat and pulled out a plastic bag with money wrapped tightly inside. "This isn't mine," I said, staring at the bag in shock. "I've never seen this before. You'll need to come with us to the station." At the police station, I explained everything I told them about the family conflict, about how I'd refused to pay for my nephew's college, about the years of estrangement. I said I had no reason to steal money from people I barely spoke to. The officer seemed to believe me. I had no criminal record, and my story was consistent. They let me go, but told me not to leave the city. I immediately tried calling my mother, unblocking her number. "You're a thief!" she screamed at me. "Now I know how you really make your money by stealing from other people." She hung up on me. I took a taxi home, my car still being held as evidence. When I got back to my apartment, I remembered something important. I had installed a dash cam in my car a few months ago, one that recorded both inside and outside the vehicle. I accessed the footage online and scrolled through the past few days, and there it was, clear as day. 3 days ago, someone had gotten into my car and placed something under the back seat. It was my nephew. I stared at the computer screen, watching my nephew break into my car. The footage was crystal clear. He used some kind of electronic device to disable the alarm and unlock the doors. Then he quickly shoved the bag of money under my back seat and left. I immediately called a taxi to take me back to the police station. I brought my laptop with the dash cam footage. "Officers, I have evidence that will clear this up," I said when I arrived. I showed them the video. They watched it twice, examining every detail. "Well, that's pretty clear-cut," one of them said. "The kid obviously planted the money to frame you. All charges against you were dropped. We'll be having a conversation with your nephew. What happens now?" "We'll bring him in for questioning. This is a serious crime. Filing a false police report attempting to frame someone. Theft from his own grandparents. He's 18, so he'll be charged as an adult." I felt a mix of relief and sadness. Relief that I was cleared, but sadness that it had come to this. The next day I got a call asking me to come back to the station. When I arrived, my nephew was sitting in a chair looking miserable. Gone was the contemptuous look he'd given me at my parents' house. Now he just looked like a scared kid. "Tell her what you told us," one of the officers said. My nephew looked up at me. "I built a device that can hack car security systems. I used it to get into your car and plant the money. Why I asked, though, I already knew because you wouldn't help me go to college. I thought if I got you in trouble, maybe you'd change your mind. Or maybe my grandparents would see what kind of person you really are." I shook my head. "So you stole money from your own grandparents and tried to frame me for it. I was going to give it back after you got arrested," he said quietly. "That's not how this works. You committed multiple crimes." Just then, my parents burst through the door of the police station. My mother was crying. My father looked panicked. "Please don't press charges," my mother begged. "He's just a child." He acted out of emotion. "He's 18, I said. "He's an adult, and he's clearly smart enough to build electronic devices that can break into cars." He knew exactly what he was doing. My father grabbed my arm. "Audrey, please. He's family. He made a mistake." A mistake! I pulled my arm away. He systematically planned to destroy my life. He stole from you, lied to the police, and tried to have me arrested. That's not a mistake. That's a crime. My mother fell to her knees. I'm begging you, don't ruin his future over this. I looked at all of them. My crying mother, my desperate father, my nephew who couldn't even look at me anymore. I thought about what they'd done to me 15 years ago, how they'd abandoned me when I needed them most. But I also thought about the kind of person I wanted to be. Did I want to be like them, cruel and vindictive? Or did I want to be better? I will press charges, I said finally. My parents looked relieved, but I wasn't finished. But I want to make something very clear. I'm officially cutting all contact with this family. I don't want to hear from any of you ever again. If you try to contact me, if you show up at my apartment, if you involve me in your problems in any way, I will change my mind about pressing charges. Do you understand? My father nodded quickly. My mother was still crying. I turned to my nephew. And you stay away from me. I don't know you. I don't want to know you. And if you ever come near me again, I'll call the police immediately. I walked out of the station and took a taxi home. I felt empty, drained. It was over, but I didn't feel victorious. I just felt tired. For the next few weeks, I heard nothing from my family. It was peaceful. I went back to my normal routine, working, visiting my aunt, enjoying my quiet life. Then one day, I got a message on social media. It was from Sarah. You're a cruel, heartless bastard. My son could have gone to MIT and made something of himself. But you destroyed his future because you're too selfish to help family. You're an ungrateful piece of shit who thinks she's better than everyone else. I read the message twice, then typed back. Your son tried to frame me for theft because I wouldn't pay for his college, and you're calling me ungrateful. You're a thief who stole money from your own child to run off with some random man you met online. At least I earned my money. Honestly, she blocked me immediately. After that, I showed the conversation to my aunt when I visited her. I can't believe she had the nerve to contact you after what her son did. My aunt said she's just like the rest of them. They think the world owes them something. Are you okay with how everything turned out? I thought about it. Yeah, I think I am. I'm done with them. I gave them a chance to be decent people, and they showed me exactly who they are. I'm better off without them. My dad squeezed my hand. You are. You've always been better than them. That night, I sat in my apartment, my beautiful apartment that I'd bought with my own money, and I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. I didn't have to worry about family drama anymore. I didn't have to wonder if they'd call asking for money or favors. I didn't have to carry around the hurt and anger from 15 years ago. I was free. I thought about my nephew and whether he'd end up going to college at all. Part of me hoped he would just not at my expense. Part of me hoped he'd learned something from this whole mess. But mostly, I just hoped he'd stay away from me. It's been 3 months since everything happened with my family, and I can honestly say these have been the best 3 months of my life. In years. No drama, no guilt trips, no unexpected phone calls demanding money or favors. I've been throwing myself into my work more than ever. The software company I work for just landed a huge contract with a major tech giant, and I'm leading the development team for their new security protocol. The irony is lost on me. I'm designing systems to prevent exactly the kind of electronic break-ins my nephew pulled on my car. My boss pulled me aside last week to tell me I'm up for a promotion, senior software architect with a 40% salary increase. I've worked my ass off for this, and it feels amazing to be recognized for my actual skills, instead of being judged for what I won't do for people who never supported me. My aunt and I have been spending more time together. She's been like a real mother to me, and I've realized how much I appreciate having at least one family member who actually cares about my well-being. We go out for dinner every week, and she's always asking about my work, my life, my happiness, not what I can do for other people. You look different, she told me last Sunday over brunch. Lighter. Somehow she was right. I do feel lighter. It's like I've been carrying this heavy backpack full of guilt and obligation for 15 years, and I finally got to put it down. I've been thinking a lot about my nephew lately. Not with anger anymore, but with something like petty. He's clearly intelligent. Building a device that can hack car security systems isn't something just anyone can do. but he used that intelligence to try to destroy someone's life instead of building his own future. I found myself wondering if he ever made it to college. A few weeks ago, curiosity got the better of me, and I did some internet searching. I found out he ended up enrolling at the state university about an hour from my parents' house. Not MIT, but it's a decent school with a good computer science program. He's probably getting financial aid, since my parents certainly don't have money to pay for it. Part of me feels bad that he didn't get to go to his dream school. But then I remember what he did to me, and I remind myself that actions have consequences. He made his choices. I also heard through my aunt that Sarah came back. Apparently, her internet boyfriend dumped her after she ran out of money, and she showed up at my parents' house broke and desperate. My aunt heard this from a neighbor who saw the whole dramatic scene when Sarah arrived. From what I understand, my parents took her back in. Of course they did. Sarah has always been the golden child, no matter what she does. She can steal from her own son, abandon him, blow through his college money on some random guy, and still get welcomed back with open arms. I used to be angry about the double standard. Now, I just feel sorry for all of them. They're stuck in this toxic cycle, and they can't seem to break free from it. My work life has been going so well that I've been thinking about starting my own consulting business. I've got enough money saved up, plenty of contacts in the industry, and honestly, I'm tired of working for other people. I want to build something that's completely mine. I've been sketching out business plans in my free time. I could specialize in cybersecurity for small businesses. There's a huge market for it. And after everything that happened with my nephew, I'm even more passionate about helping people protect themselves from electronic crimes. My dating life has picked up too. I met a guy named Marcus at a tech conference last month. He's a software engineer at a startup, and he's got this calm, steady personality that I find really attractive. We've been out a few times, and he's nothing like the dramatic chaos of my family. When I told him about cutting contact with my parents and siblings, he didn't try to convince me to reconcile or tell me that family is everything he just said. That must have been really hard, but it sounds like you made the right decision for yourself. That's when I knew I liked him. He gets it. He understands that sometimes walking away is the healthiest thing you can do. I've been sleeping better than I have in years. No more anxiety about what my family might want from me next. No more guilt about not being the perfect daughter or sister. Grant. No more wondering if I should reach out or try to fix things. I'm done trying to fix things that were never my responsibility to fix in the first place. Sometimes I wonder if my nephew learned anything from what happened. I hope he did. I hope he realizes that trying to destroy other people won't build his own success. I hope he focuses on his studies and makes something good of his life. But mostly, I just hope he stays away from me. I've been going to therapy not because I'm falling apart or anything, but because I wanted to process everything that happened and make sure I'm moving forward in a healthy way. My therapist says I show remarkable resilience and self-awareness. You've essentially raised yourself, she told me. You figured out how to be successful, how to be independent, how to set boundaries. That's not easy when you don't have good role models. She's right. I did raise myself. I taught myself what healthy relationships look like, what boundaries are, what I deserve from the people in my life. It took me 33 years to fully understand it, but I got there. I'm proud of where I am now. I'm proud of the apartment I bought, the career I built, the life I created for myself. I'm proud that I walked away from toxicity instead of enabling it. I'm proud that I chose my own peace over their drama. Most of all, I'm proud that I broke the cycle. I'm not like them. I don't use people. I don't manipulate them. I don't expect them to solve my problems for me. I take care of myself. I work hard, and I treat people with respect. That's the difference between me and my family. They take, I give. They blame, I take responsibility. They expect, I earn. I'm finally free from all of that, and I'm never going back. Looking ahead, I see nothing but possibilities. My career is taking off. I'm building meaningful relationships. I'm healthy and happy and safe. I don't need their approval or their presence in my life. I have everything I need, and I built it all myself.